The Chamber of Secrets. The Chamber of Secrets is an ancient vault Salazar Slytherin built beneath Hogwarts. He sealed it so only his Parselmouth heir could open it. Inside stands a giant statue of Slytherin, and within the statue's mouth the basilisk he left to purge the school of those he considered unworthy. For centuries it was dismissed as a legend. The entrance is a sink in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Speaking Parseltongue opens the pipes and a door. In 1992, Tom Riddle's diary possessed Ginny Weasley and used her to open the chamber and direct the basilisks through the walls. Victims survived by indirect views, reflections, a camera, puddles. Nearly headless Nick, already dead, was petrified rather than killed. Fawkes brings the sorting hat. Harry draws the sword of Gryffindor, kills the basilisk, and destroys the diary with a venomous fang. Basilisk venom is one of the few substances that can destroy a Horcrux. Years later, Ron imitates Parseltongue to reopen the sink, so he and Hermione can retrieve more fangs to destroy Hufflepuff's cup. The Forbidden Forest. The Forbidden Forest borders the Hogwarts grounds and is officially off-limits to students. Staff go in only when necessary, and students enter only under supervision, usually for care of magical creatures or during detentions. Unicorns roam here, which is why the hooded figure drinking unicorn blood appears in Year 1. A herd of Thestrals pulls the Hogwarts carriages. You see them only after witnessing death. Centaurs hold territory deep inside and don't tolerate humans trespassing. They famously carry Professor Umbridge away after she insults them. The Acromantula colony led by Aragog makes the forest deadly for anyone who wanders off the paths. Harry and Ron barely escape the spiders and Chamber of Secrets. Even creatures kept by Hagrid, like hippogriffs, live near the edge because the forest itself is too dangerous. The forest also becomes a place of fate. In Deathly Hallows, Harry walks into the trees to face Voldemort, comforted for a moment by the Resurrection Stone. It's forbidden not as a school scare tactic, but because crossing that line without guidance can get you killed. Even Hagrid treats it with caution. The Cave. Tom Riddle chose a seaside cave to hide Salazar Slytherin's locket. He knew it from childhood. As a boy, he took 2 orphans there, and something terrifying happened that they never described. The protections are layered and cruel. Blood opens the door cut into the rock. A concealed boat crosses an underground lake. It carries only one wizard and ignores Inferi. At the center sits a stone basin. Its potion must be drunk to the last drop before the locket can be reached. The potion causes agony, terror, and an unbearable thirst, pushing victims toward the water. Voldemort once forced Kreacher to drink the potion. The elf escaped by house elf magic and informed Regulus. Touching the lake rouses the Inferi. When Dumbledore drinks the potion in Half-Blood Prince, Harry's attempt to fetch water triggers an attack. Dumbledore conjures fire to drive the corpses back, and they escape with a locket only to learn it's a fake, swapped earlier by Regulus Black and Kreacher. The Restricted Section. The Restricted Section holds advanced, dangerous, and outright dark magic. Students can only consult it with a signed note from a teacher, and Madame Pince enforces the rule. The idea is supervision. If you need it for legitimate research, a professor vouches for you. In Year 1, Harry sneaks in under the invisibility cloak to search for Nicholas Flamel. He opens a book that emits a piercing shriek and has to bolt before Filch arrives. Later in Year 2, Hermione gets a permission slip from Professor Lockhart to borrow Most Potente Potions, which contains the Polyjuice recipe. That shows how access technically works. Paperwork first, then Pince releases the book. Dumbledore later removes the very worst volumes from circulation and keeps them under tighter control. Discussions of Horcruxes, for example, are not meant to be student reading. The section exists because knowledge can be lethal if used without guidance. Nurmengard Prison. Nurmengard was built by Gellert Grindelwald to imprison his enemies during his rise to power. After Dumbledore defeated him in 1945, Grindelwald was locked inside the very fortress he created. It remained an isolated, heavily guarded prison, far from public access, and effectively off-limits to anyone but authorized personnel. For decades, Grindelwald lived there as its most infamous inmate. The prison's purpose shifted from a tool of conquest to a monument of defeat, holding the man who once terrified Europe. In Deathly Hallows, Voldemort flies to Nurmengard while hunting the Elder Wand. He confronts Grindelwald, who refuses to reveal the wand's exact location. Voldemort kills him and leaves, confirming that the prison still stood and still held secrets no one else could reach. Because it was created outside normal Ministry systems and then used to confine its creator, Nurmengard remained both symbol and warning, a fortress you don't visit, and a place the wizarding world prefers to forget. The third floor corridor. The third floor corridor at Hogwarts was declared off-limits in Harry's first year. At the start of term feast, Dumbledore warned that anyone who didn't want to die a most painful death should avoid it. Behind the door lay the gauntlet protecting the Philosopher's Stone. First came Fluffy, Hagrid's three-headed dog, guarding a trap door. Beneath it, Professor Sprout's devil's snare tried to strangle intruders. Professor Flitwick's winged keys filled the next chamber. Only the right key, caught by Broom, opened the door. Professor McGonagall's life-size wizard's chest demanded a strategic sacrifice. Professor Quirrell's mountain troll had been placed but was later found unconscious. Professor Snape's logic puzzle of potions allowed one bottle forward and one back. Finally, Dumbledore hid the stone in the mirror of Erised with a special rule. Only someone who wanted to find the stone but not use it could take it. The corridor was forbidden because the protections themselves were deadly. Malfoy Manor. During the Second Wizarding War, Malfoy Manor became a de facto headquarters for Voldemort and the Death Eaters. The opening council in Deathly Hallows is held at the dining table beneath the suspended body of Charity Burbage. After that, the manor serves as a secure base and private prison. Captured enemies are kept in the cellars. Mr. Ollivander, Luna Lovegood, Dean Thomas, and later Griphook. When Snatchers bring in Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Bellatrix recognizes the Sword of Gryffindor and panics, fearing her vault has been breached. She tortures Hermione with the Cruciatus Curse, while Draco is pressed to identify Harry. In the cellar, Wormtail attempts to restrain the prisoners. When he hesitates, the silver hand Voldemort gave him kills him. Dobby apparates, and despite the manor's protections, House Elf magic follows different rules and helps everyone escape. Bellatrix throws a knife as they disapparate, killing Dobby at Shell Cottage. The manor isn't officially forbidden, but going near it meant capture, torture, or worse. The Department of Mysteries. The Department of Mysteries is one of the most restricted areas in the entire wizarding world. It's hidden deep within the Ministry of Magic, and only a select group of witches and wizards known as Unspeakables are allowed inside. The name alone tells you how secretive it is. Even Ministry officials don't know exactly what goes on there. The department is made up of several strange and dangerous rooms. The Hall of Prophecies is filled with endless shelves of glowing glass orbs. Each orb records a prophecy, and only the people directly involved can safely remove one. That's why when Harry tried to grab his prophecy in Order of the Phoenix, it didn't shatter in his hands, but it did when others touched it. Another chamber holds the Veil, a mysterious stone archway with a tattered black curtain. When people step through, they never come back. Sirius Black's death through the Veil is still one of the most chilling moments in the series. There's also the Time Room, where experimental time turners are kept, and the Brain Room, where floating aggressive brains are used for research into thought and consciousness. Everything inside this department is dangerous and heavily guarded. It's not just forbidden, it's a place where even knowledge itself can kill you. The Gaunt Shack. The Gaunt Shack sits on the outskirts of Little Hangleton, a derelict cottage home to Marvolo and Morphin Gaunt, last heirs of Salazar Slytherin. Bob Ogden of the Ministry once visited and was attacked there, revealing the Gaunt's heirlooms, Slytherin's ring, and Merope's locket. The place reeks of poverty, violence, and Parseltongue, shown through pensive memories. Tom Riddle returned, stole the ring from Morphin, altered Morphin's memory, and used patricide at the Riddle house to forge the ring into a Horcrux. Later, he hid the ring back at the shack behind lethal curses. Decades on, Dumbledore tracked it to the cottage, overcame the protections, and destroyed the Horcrux with the Sword of Gryffindor, but not before the ring's curse withered his hand. Locals avoided the shack, and the Ministry had history with it. But what truly makes it off-limits is its legacy, a site bound up with Voldemort's origins and dark magic, strong enough to maim even the greatest wizard alive. The Room of Requirement. The Room of Requirement is one of Hogwarts' best-kept secrets. It appears only when someone truly needs it. Opposite the Tapestry of Barnabas the Barmy. Walk past 3 times while focusing on what you want, and the door forms. In Order of the Phoenix, Dobby reveals it to Harry, and it becomes the headquarters for Dumbledore's army. Inside, the room transforms itself for training, providing including cushions, books, even a practiced dark detector. What made it forbidden was not the room itself, but Dolores Umbridge's Educational Decree No. 24, which banned any student organization without her approval. The law instantly made the DA illegal, and by extension the room's use became punishable. When Marietta Edgecombe betrayed the group, the inquisitorial squad caught them leaving the room, leading to Dumbledore's dramatic escape. Later it shifted roles again, becoming the Room of Hidden Things, and finally a sanctuary for resistance during Deathly Hallows. Godric's Hollow. Godric's Hollow is both a wizarding village and a memorial site. The Potters live there under the Fidelius charm, with Peter Pettigrew as secret keeper. On October 31st, 1981, Voldemort murdered James and Lily and was blasted back by Lily's protection when he tried to kill baby Harry. The house was left ruined. The cottage remains preserved as a historical monument. A sign visible to witches and wizards appears when you approach the gate, explaining what happened that night. Muggles pass by without noticing anything unusual. Out of respect and basic safety, the ruin isn't a place people enter. It's a landmark to view, not explore. The graveyard holds the headstones of James and Lily Potter, with the inscription, "The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death." You also find Ignotus Peveril's grave and the Dumbledore family stones. When Harry and Hermione visit on Christmas Eve in Deathly Hallows, they're lured to Bathilda Bagshot's house, only to discover she's dead and being used by Nagini as a trap. The village looks peaceful, but for those who know its history, it's hallowed ground, quiet, concealed from Muggles, and not somewhere you casually wander. Azkaban Prison. Azkaban is a fortress on a bleak island in the North Sea, built to isolate the wizarding world's most dangerous prisoners. For most of its history, it was guarded by Dementors, creatures that drain hope and happiness and can perform the Dementor's kiss, which removes the soul. Visits are strictly controlled, and conditions are meant to break a prisoner's will long before their sentence ends. Security relies on the island's remoteness, anti-apparition protections, and the Dementor's presence. Even so, a few escapes became legend. Sirius Black survived by transforming into his Animagus form, which dulled his emotions enough to resist the Dementors, then slipped through the bars and swam to shore. Years later, Voldemort's return triggered mass breakouts, including the escape of Bellatrix Lestrange and other Death Eaters, proving that fear and chaos could override even Azkaban's defenses. The prison's reputation is why most witches and wizards never set foot near it. After the Second Wizarding War, the Ministry reformed Azkaban's management and ended Dementor control, but the place remains synonymous with despair. In the story, Azkaban functions as a warning, a location so forbidding that merely mentioning it stops conversation. It's not just off limits, it's the last place anyone wants to be sent. The Headmaster's Office. Access to the Headmaster's Office is tightly controlled. A stone gargoyle guards the spiral staircase. It moves aside only when given the correct password, often a name of a sweet like Lemon Drop. Students don't enter unless summoned, and even teachers wait to be invited. Inside, the office houses powerful and unique artifacts. Dumbledore keeps a pensive for examining memories, delicate silver instruments that monitor distant events, and the portraits of former headmasters and headmistresses, who can advise the current leader and carry messages. The Sorting Hat rests here between sortings, and in rare moments of need, it can produce the Sword of Gryffindor. During Dumbledore's tenure, Fawkes the Phoenix also perched here, appearing at critical moments. The room itself responds to the rightful head's authority. During Umbridge's brief regime as headmistress, the office admitted her, but the resident portrait of Dumbledore would not speak to her. It's restricted space, part archive, part command center, always under password and invitation.